Good evening and welcome back to Be Rich. Today, the market is on the edge. I'm talking not only of the Indian market, but the global market is on the edge. There have been 8 weeks of bloodletting in Wall Street. Monday started well with the Dow rallying by 600 points, but come Tuesday, the market again started correcting. Though the Dow managed to keep its head above water, the Nasdaq and the S&P 500 corrected heavily. The Nasdaq fell deeply because of its problems on earnings. Snapchat, one of its successful companies, showed a huge decline in its results, and therefore all tech companies were pillared. Facebook at one time was down 10%, Alphabet was down 6%, and everybody else was on the ropes waiting for the count. Today, the futures are on the edge because there is going to be news on the Fed Reserve's minutes. People are waiting anxiously to see what the Fed would do. But the fact remains, after the results from Target and Walmart came, that retail price inflation is really in shooting up. And the actual inflation captured by the data is not the actual inflation. Things are far more worse than what is being shown. Also, the war between Russia and Ukraine has made sure that food prices have gone through the roof. This is especially affecting wheat because the Russian and Ukrainian together control the 30%, more than 30% of the grain market. Also, edible oil is under huge pressure. All this has meant that nations from Indonesia to India have taken protective measures to make sure that food does not go from their borders. Indonesia had a short but a very stringent ban on exporting crude palm oil or refined palm oil. India, which wanted to tout itself as a savior of the globe by exporting wheat, and the moment it saw traders buying wheat and at rates far higher than what the government wanted to buy, immediately it clamped down on wheat exports from India. India has since then banned sugar exports. All this is in reaction to what is happening in global food prices. Crude shows no sign of letting up, and all this means that input inflation and inflation remains out of control. In America, there is going to be the driving season from August, so gasoline is going to be consumed like nobody's business, and therefore unless magically the war ends in Europe, you are not going to have a resolution to crude oil prices. So, at this moment, what are investors doing and what are your options? Most investors are fleeing for cash, and cash is king in Wall Street. So, among the stocks that are being preferred are stocks that can return cash. There are two ways for a company to return cash. One is a traditional dividend, whereas cash is paid out to the investor and he decides what to do with it. The other is what is preferred by Warren Buffett, is the company uses its excess reserves to buy back its shares and destroy it. So the number of shares will decline. You own a larger portion of the company. Both are basically returning cash to the investor, one in form of cash, other in form of a greater share of the business. But today, what is being preferred is not a greater share of your business. Companies which promise dividends are preferred to companies which do buyback. This is because people would rather prefer to have cash in hand rather than have own a larger piece of a company. This shows that there is a greater element of panic in the system. This is because in certain good companies, the yields are so high that even bonds cannot give these kind of returns. Two of these such companies come to mind. One is AT&T, the telecom behemoth, which is able to give a solid dividend return back to the investor. Therefore, investors who are defensive are now turning back and buying AT&T. The company pays out a large portion of its profits back to the shareholders as cash. Investors would prefer such a company. The other company that is being preferred is a company called Altira. Altira is the world's largest cigarette manufacturer. Altira owns most of the big cigarette brands. Altira has now bought a European based company with large sales in America which uses other form of tobacco consumption, which is considered less harmful. Altira pays a major portion of its profits as dividends, and this company has been slowly going in price over several years. Investors prefer Altira and AT&T to a company which also makes profits, has very low debt, but is willing to return the money as buyback of stocks, which will give a higher holding to you in the company. People want cash in these troubled times. What does the Fed minutes hold for us? Fed is going to be very clear. It's going to take a hard, strong look at inflation and will definitely say they will do whatever required to make sure that inflation comes under control. The market has already discounted 2.5% increases. So, if the Fed indicates that it is going to increase by another quarter percent, that is 0.75 instead of zero point 0.5, then all bets are off on what will happen to the market. The market will be on a tenterhooks till the actual policy comes out. But today, nobody in America or developed world is bothered about interest rates. They want this period of uncertainty to be over and done. So, Bill Ackman in Twitter yesterday said, markets are falling, it's hurting him badly. It is better if this Fed increases its rates to the neutral stance and then wait for inflation to fall. And if it does not fall, increase further steps. What he is suggesting is instead of increasing by zero point 0.5 every time, it would make greater sense for you to increase it to the neutral rate in one go. He is talking about a 2.5% increase in one go. That means a Fed rate of 3.25%. If that were to happen, all hell would break loose in the US markets and more money will flow away from the emerging markets into the US dollar. Let's see what happens tomorrow. Thank you for watching. Be rich. If you like this video, hit the subscribe button and turn on the bell notification. If you do not turn on the bell notification, you will not be notified every time we put out a video. If you do like my content, kindly consider sharing with your friends and relatives. I have written two books in English, The Alchemy of Money and Ordinary Stocks, Extraordinary Profits. These books are published by us and are ready. If you want to procure a copy, send us a message to the WhatsApp number given below and my team would respond to you. If you want an Amazon Kindle copy, you can click the link below. Finally, those who wish to consult with me can send a mail to berichenglish@gmail.com. Once again, I thank you for your support.